My name is Joe. I'm currently a Ph.D. student in biomedical science at Montfort University, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So when I was studying at Gloucester, especially in my third year at university, I had the chance to study my Masters in, I think it was sports strength and conditioning, and potentially do an MRes instead. Now, the opportunity sounded really good because I thought, well, this would be great. I already know people at Gloucester University, it would just make sense to stay there. But at the same time, I really wanted to study at Loughborough University because of the sport and research excellence. It's one of the biggest universities, even in the world, for sport. So I really wanted to study there, and I decided to go with my gut instinct and move university, and it's probably one of the best choices I've made. It was a really hard decision for me. Now, I just want to also say as well, there's no right or wrong decision in sticking at the same university and moving. I'm just giving you my personal opinions on what I have learned and what I'd recommend, but I know people who have stayed at the same university and it's been great for them. The first thing I want to talk about is growing your network. Now, this is really important in everyday application, whether you decide you want to stay in research and have a career in academia, or even if you want to go into industry type based or whatever you'd like to do after university. I think growing your network is one of the most important things, because one of the biggest things I believe in is building your own serendipity. And what I mean by that is building your own luck, but with a different approach. Whilst it is important to have luck on your side, you also need hard work as well. And if you go to different universities, you're building your network, you get to meet different researchers, and you just never know where a project might come up, or there might be a position in that university available, and they might think back, oh, I remember so-and-so, he or she was a very good worker, let's bring them back and have them work for us. One of the things I was worried about is, would people from Gloucester University forget about me? And it's just not true at all, because if you're someone who's going to work hard and you build contacts in that previous university, then even when you go to a different uni, they're still going to be interested in what you're doing. And especially with social media this time, it's very easy to keep in contact. So this whole idea of someone forgetting about me or us is just not true whatsoever. Build contact, gain everything you want from that university, and move. So networking is definitely important, and as I said, it builds your serendipity up and it gives you more opportunities and more chances. So when you do finally graduate, just with a degree or the Ph.D. or Masters, does not matter, you'll have more opportunities after. Build confidence to come out of your comfort zone. Now, as I mentioned, for me personally, I had it really good at Gloucester University. I could have easily stayed, done my Masters, and then potentially worked thereafter. But I decided to go to Loughborough. Now, this wasn't an easy decision, because I'd only been to Loughborough once before this, and this was literally just for a postgraduate evening where I got to speak to some of the lecturers and just ask them about the research, the projects, the different modules about the course. So actually living there and knowing people, I didn't know anyone. So this was a very scary thing for me, and I think it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Gloucester to Loughborough, and I'm from Wales anyway. But yeah, so this was definitely out of my comfort zone, completely moving to a new place again, and especially because it's just 1 year Masters, unless you're doing a part-time, which is 2 years. I think it's important to learn how to come out of your comfort zone. This is completely normal, and especially in research where a lot of the time is out of our comfort zone. We really need to build on that, and from moving university, this helps us build on it. But if you want to keep on building, you want to broaden your knowledge, your expertise, then switching university might have to be a choice sometimes. But now I can say it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, because it allowed me to switch from sports science, which I initially started off with, to now more molecular biology, biomedical science. Now, if I hadn't moved university, I would have never probably have got into biomedical science as a PhD, because I wouldn't have learned the techniques at master's level and if I'd stayed at Gloucester. So it's really about building you up and exploring different avenues, because sometimes we can think when we're studying the degree, whether we're in first year, second year, third year, and we can think, okay, this is the job I want. But actually, until you start trying other things out, you don't really know what you want to do yet. And this is what I've like some people ask me, oh, do I regret studying sports science? Well, no, because I learned a lot of techniques, I learned the applications of that, and now I get to apply that in a different setting, and that's how I think of it. I was able to do techniques that I probably wouldn't have been able to do at Gloucester University. So this is just a nice thing. This person has studied at more than one university. That means they are comfortable with being out of their comfort zone, as well as working with different people, because that's another thing. So because I've worked in 3 universities, I've worked with 3 different research groups as well. I've learned different things from every one of them, which has been great, and this has helped me really strengthen my PhD. Now, one of the negative cons you can have from moving university is probably if you've already set a good base at the current university in your undergrad. Now, what I mean by that is, a good example of mine is one of my friends. He studied his undergraduate at University of Gloucestershire. He was already involved in some very good research there, so it made sense for him to carry on and study his PhD there. If he had moved university and left that really good position he had at Gloucester, this could have really detrimented his research potential, because he already had a good set base. But generally, for most of us and people like myself, I didn't really have that much to lose from moving university. I didn't really set base as probably well as my friend did at the University of Gloucestershire. So for me personally, it made sense to swap university over again, because you've got to make new friends, you've got to meet new people, and again, this is a risk when you think of it, because you might not suit that university, you might not fit as well as you did in your previous one. Obviously, you're going to do your best you can. For my previous experience, out of the 3 universities I've been, probably Loughborough's been the one where I didn't really fit in that well, but that's fine. You know, it was a good experience, I really enjoyed my time there, but what I mean by that is I wouldn't have liked to have stayed for a PhD there. I think it was the right decision for me to move to Montfort University. But again, everyone's different, and I think if I could go back, I definitely would not change nothing. Moving from Gloucester to Loughborough was definitely a good experience for me, and I definitely think it was the right move, because then it allowed me to come to Montfort University and really switch from sports science to biomedical science. So you can see a disadvantage and an advantage with that. As well, there's sometimes that you can have your undergraduate and postgraduate be repeated. Now, I don't think that's too common when you swap universities, because one thing I've definitely found is even though you're learning similar or the same topic, it's usually taught different. But when you usually do a postgraduate at the same university, obviously I can't really say this for myself, but based on what I've heard of other people, they usually say that a lot of the content can be the same thing. Now, you can see this in 2 ways. One, okay, it might be easier for you to get a better grade because you've already covered the topic, you're just adding on to it. But in my opinion, it doesn't really benefit your learning, and I think you need to balance the both when you're thinking of postgraduate. What are you really trying to get out of it? Are you doing the masters to carry on to a PhD, or is it industry that you're interested in? So you really need to think about that. One of the other negative cons is you sometimes just don't have enough time to settle in, especially if you're just doing a masters, which is 1 year long. Like my time at Loughborough, I just can't believe how quick it went. 1 year just flew by. The course was really intense, which was great. I enjoyed that. It was nice and busy. I think I was in university 4 or 5 times a week, so it was pretty much every day, which was great. And by the time I tried to get settled in, it was literally time to move. And in some ways this was difficult just because I couldn't fully settle in. Now, this isn't a bad thing, because a master's is just 1 year. You want to just make sure that you're there for that, you get the good experience, which I did at Loughborough, and it definitely added on from my experience from Gloucester. But I'm just saying, if you're thinking long term and when you move into a different university for postgrad and you want to stay there, if you're there just for short term and you know you're going to be there for short term, then this can be sometimes difficult, because 1 year can just fly by. But it's not too much of a negative. I think, obviously I've heard of some people saying that sometimes they find it difficult to set in, but for me personally, I didn't fully set in, but that's fine. I knew what I was there for. I was there for the masters, to get the degree and to carry on into research, move to a different university. When you're looking at your masters, say it's a different university and it's somewhere you're considering doing a PhD, for example, or somewhere you'd like to work, sometimes it can be just a bit of a disadvantage getting opportunities, just because in some places, if they've got undergraduate students who have come along the way from undergrad and are now doing a postgraduate degree, they're more likely to have them for the job just because they already know them, they know their work ethic. But this isn't to say you're going to be at a disadvantage. I wasn't limited by any means with my university opportunities whilst at Loughborough. I'm just saying sometimes it could be an option if there's only one position and two of you are applying for it. One's already studied at that current place as an undergraduate, they are more likely to get that opportunity. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I know I've put a few negatives in there, but that's more just to get you thinking if you are thinking of switching university from your undergraduate. But in all honesty, I really enjoyed my time at Loughborough, and as I said, it really helped me develop as a researcher, and it got me the position at Montfort University. So in my position, moving university was the right choice, and as I explained about my friend earlier who decided to stay at Gloucester University for his PhD, it's worked out well for him as well. Hopefully this video can provide somewhat guidance on what I would recommend for people who are deciding where they want to study their postgrad. I hope you enjoyed the video.